I don't think it's a big deal. We're still talking about Anthem, so it's not.
Oh yeah, it's not
All
like talking
right,
about anything
we're
important.
going, and thanks everyone for coming in. We're talking about Anthem. It's been a pretty busy week in terms of Anthem news. I didn't make any videos on it because it's like, oh, like every other day was like, oh, this is a glitch, and oh, this is another glitch, and this is a bug, and this is a crash problem. So, yeah, thanks for coming in, UDP and myself, and we're going over Game Ranks craziest Anthem glitches and fails, and we're also going over another video of apparently the worst gun in Anthem and perhaps the worst weapon in gaming history, all provided by, yes, once again, Anthem. So there's other news we'll get to, but these are the big ones. Geez, we were just talking about Bioware and shooters and open world games, and it's just this is not a good few years for Bioware and
This
gaming in general.
this is like Homer Simpson falling down the valley. They just every time they make it back out, they just fall back in it.
Yeah, we're kind of contemplating what the hell were they doing for those 6 and 7 years once they got the level design going, they got the big open world, they got flying going, they got enemies going. Like, did they like say, okay, we got enemies going, we'll make five more, and then that's it? Did they change the AI? Did they make new AI patterns? Did they throw in scaling properly? Did they design better weapons? I'm thinking they didn't do anything. I mean, if you have 6 years and all you have is 8 templates for a weapon or weapons, you're doing something wrong. I could probably make 8 weapons in any game engine within 2 or 3 months by myself. So how does that work? What would a looter shooter constitute 8 weapons? And you change a variable here. I mean, the masterwork weapons only have one parameter that modifies a percentage of their stats, and the stats are now broken. Um, it's hard to say what the hell Bioware was doing for all those years. And I'd really like to know. I'd like to see some records because there must be in software development. What you have is uh, a ticketing system. There's one I use called Jira. It's pretty popular. There's also something called a Kanban board where they have all the task lists. The bugs are number one. They get solved very quickly every day. Then you have your big jobs or your called epics, and they have a series of smaller tickets in them. And you just go through that. So that means there's if you're doing a big piece of software like Anthem, you have records of all of your tickets that have been completed or opened or still open or ongoing issues and stuff like that. So I'd really like to see or talk to a project manager at Bioware saying, "Hey, what have you guys been doing for the past 4 months? How about the past year? How about the past 2 years?" Because something is wrong with Anthem that is kind of hard for me to believe as a software developer. It does not connect. There's something going on in that company that is not adding up. If you do anything for 5 years and this is the result, something is wrong. Something is really wrong with your production schedule, your pipeline, your hiring. Maybe people were getting hired like crazy. There was a big turnover. I'm trying to think. Like I'm trying to find answers, and the rest of me is like, people would have been fired. There would have been documentation that was lost. Entire builds would have been deployed that just didn't work. And we can look at Andromeda and say, okay, well, they were trying procedural generation for so many years. It didn't work. They cut it out. Fine. They had an hour or so. They had a year and a half to push things together. It's like, all right, that makes sense. They didn't have enough time. They wasted, or the time they used was not productive. Makes sense. Anthem, no clue. We have no idea what happened and why it screwed up so badly. So I don't know. I wish I could. A lot of people have been blaming the producer or the publisher, maybe the director with Casey. I don't know what they could have done or what they did. We have no information. And really, this is all on the development team because they're the ones who designed it. They're the ones who built it. They're the ones who took all this time. And like even the videos we got from 2016 there were problems with it. Like, okay, that doesn't make sense. These characters don't talk this way. I know it's a marketing gig, and I know they said it was real time, but there's no way that was real time. You can't get graphics of that output happening in real time at that resolution, at that frame rate. There would have been slowdowns, there would have been bumps. So even looking at the lighting effects when that storm thing hit, which I don't even know if they've released storms yet.
No, that's not been included in the game. That got removed. The dynamic storm events.
Right. I thought they were going to release them in like April or May, or I didn't see the production schedule going forward, but it was like, wow, that's a lot of lighting effects and shadow and 4 people on the screen at once. Like that's a lot of netcode. You're doing a lot of things in one scene, visually at least. I was like, wow, this is going to be an incredibly looking game. And then you see the result, which isn't a bad looking game, but it's nowhere near what it was supposed to be. And the downgrades happened even to The Witcher 3, but not at that level. So
it was even the HUD changed as well. Like the HUD in the quote unquote it was a pre-alpha vertical slice of an assurance trail, as I like to call it. But the HUD on that one was a lot more streamlined. It was easy to reference. But the one on release is like your health bars up on the top left and all your other stuff's at the top right. It's like, so you have no quick references to anything. You're constantly looking around. And by the time you've actually, got shot by something and responding, you kind of go, oh, what's my health status? Your health status is like so low. So I don't know who designed that. I mean, even I can't believe I'm actually saying Andromeda got it right. But this is basics of first-person shooters, shooters in general, I should say, not first-person.
Well, I remember the HUD for some of the promotional videos of Mass Effect 2. It was changed on release at least 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
So they play around with the interface to a degree. I don't know how much, but it depends on how much time they have to polish their end result. So
it's just a GUI, isn't it? So, but that's easy as far as I'm concerned. It's just a matter of, but it's just the whole, when you look at Mass Effect 2's, everything was on the same level. Your weapons, your character, and their health bars and their shield bars and everything, things like that. It was all on the same level. Whereas this, it's all like higgledy-piggledy all over the place. It's like you don't do that. No game has done that. At least decent shooter has ever done that, I should say.
Well, yeah, I think we could argue that Bioware's understanding of shooting or shooting mechanics or designing those things, they're not up to par. And when you're trying to compete in a marketplace and you're already, was it 4 years too late to Destiny? At least 4 years. You gotta get on the level. You gotta play some more games of Overwatch and go, why does Overwatch work? Simple things like that. Just play more games. Like, hey, look at the HUD here. Look at the interface there. Look at the gun mechanics here. Why do they work? So, yeah. Anyway, we can go on about game mechanics and the mystery that is Anthem. But instead, we'll just look at some fun things to make us laugh and just...
We'll have to look at that. We'll have to wait for the Jason Schreier report to eventually come out of all the Bioware employees going, why was it like this?
Yeah, because Andromeda had a pretty big falling out of what happened after the fact. So you can imagine the size of Anthem from the major studio or the major Edmonton area of Bioware with all the people there. These are the big boys. These are the guys who've been there for years and years, and they make a worse product. You're like, oh, this is not good. But hey, we're gonna look at some fun stuff. Let's do that right now.
Can you go completely shirtless in God of War, the new God of War? Is that an option or no?
I don't think so.
You always have like the shoulder pad on it.
While we're on?
Yeah.
We're doing Anthem glitches. We asked you guys to send us in glitches from Anthem. I'm sure this is going to be lovely. I'm Jake Baldino. I'm joined, as always, by Andrew Gebbia and Tom Johnson. Say hi, boys.
Hello.
Hi, boys.
Spoiler warning, I guess, too, if you care. I don't really think there's too much to be spoiled, if I'm being honest. But let's see what you guys sent us. Let's roll it. All right. Well, the cape does make everything better. I will say that. I regret.
See his fucking legs?
Yeah.
Wop, 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 wop.
Oh! No, that's
The man inside is just screaming.
his legs are just.
It's Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance,
Yeah.
motherfucker.
That's pretty good.
That's something I would expect.
a good one to start with.
Armada.
That is, I didn't even know that existed till I saw this video today. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Funnily enough, actually, there's still a glitch in Mass Effect 1 where if you switch weapon while firing it in the beginning of Eden Prime, Shepard just basically runs with his arms in the air. It's really quite funny.
That reminds me of the gun glitch on Mass Effect 1 where Ashley is holding, it's on her back, but the gun's still firing. She's walking around with a discharging weapon.
Yeah, it's just shaving off those buttocks there, you know.
I always forget that you can hover. Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's happened to me a lot. That's not a good place for that to happen, though.
Can you hover out?
I don't think so. I think he's just perpetually falling.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that reminds me of the problems they had in Mass Effect 2. If you Vanguard charge and you get stuck on certain cover or parts of the level, same idea. The level, of course, in Anthem is gigantic. It's one huge external world, so you can imagine the amount of geometry that you can get stuck in. So and no one's checking that. There's no way. There's no, like, there's no QA going, oh yeah, you gotta clean up this geometry here. You know, there's no way. It's too big.
Just like the scene from Spaceball. Comb the desert. The Q&A people with combs.
Well, you're going to have to take off all the textures and all the shading and all the lighting and just look at this thing as a giant mesh and go, oh, yeah, that's going to get stuck. So
normally you wouldn't actually make it like be imprinted like that. You just kind of keep it as a flat area, even if it looks like you just kind of keep it flat. That's the easier way so that people don't get stuck on that. It's a bit cheesy, I know, but it's a lot easier.
They could have had destroyable objects, and
just kill things. That'd be cool.
I know that the engine can handle it, so I don't know why they didn't consider. They do have some destroyable objects, but not massive towers or anything like that. They're all on the ground. They're all like chests or whatever.
Yeah, bummer. That's bad if it's in a stronghold.
Ooh, those bug boys.
Oh my! There are bugs, right?
Yep.
Well, those enemies are technically bugs, right?
Yeah, that's him flying away.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. It looks like the object is trying to adhere to they're simulating gravity, and it's hitting a base, but the base is constantly moving because the character is going forward and backward or whatever direction they're going, and there's no real geometry to step on, but the node that does that is finding whatever is being scaled, and it's just going up and down, up and down, up and down. That's awesome. I love that.
I will say this game is like the disappearing enemy game. They disappear on me a lot.
Oh shit, there's a green one.
Get it?
This guy's just letting them do everything. I respect that.
Oh, he's like freaking out. That's
yeah,
why.
I had.
Holy no head!
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh fuck! I didn't even notice that.
What's he doing?
It took me half the clip to realize he had no head.
Yeah, that's strange, but we've noticed there's other bugs in Anthem, even during dialogue, where the character just doesn't render, or they're just invisible and they don't talk. Yeah. So, yeah, fun times.
They had one where the character, their animate, you can see the character's first-person model, their body model, but they look like as if they're in the suit itself. So it's all like, like how in Fallout 76, when you get the exosuit mod or the power armor bug, and your character looks like completely deformed, like Popeye the Sailor. It's kind of like that. It's really funny. I'm not sure if they'll show it in this one, though.
What was with this?
Oh, the
man.
rubber band.
That is the joy of always being online.
I had some bad rubber banding last night when I did a strong.
I haven't had it.
Yeah, so that's basic netcode and connectivity. It's not necessarily specific to Anthem, but
that happens a lot with Frostbite related games, actually.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. When you look at Battlefield 4, Battlefront 2, a lot of them had major netcode issues. I'm not sure whether that's actually, like I say, it could be the server, it just could be the netcode of the engine itself, or the netcode of what they're using with the engine. So
it's definitely connectivity issues. I don't know, because when you're talking about using this engine for multiplayer online gaming, I mean, it's been successful. So either the software is not successful and there's something wrong with it, or it's a hardware issue about connectivity between you and the server. And then you have to argue, then, okay, well, then how about the other players that are playing? Are they getting the same effects? And probably not. So it's very specific to that server-client relationship.
I think it was a general thing, but this just kind of goes this whole idea of you always have to be online with EA servers, whereas you take something like Gearbox's Borderlands, where it just generates your own personal log, and you're just running off that person's peer-to-peer system, and then it just saves everyone in an online state. It's just that's a lot easier, and wouldn't that actually be saving a lot more bandwidth?
Well, if you're making a peer-to-peer network or an ad hoc peer-to-peer network that is then connecting, through the internet and wherever everyone else is playing, you will get slowdowns because people could be across the world. But
well, with the thing about Borderlands is that it didn't have that matchmaking system, so you don't need to worry about it's just mostly playing with your friends. Or you could do what Diablo did, where you just basically have a huge chat, and then you can join people's games in progress, and it'll give you the ping status, whether it be, maybe have it the MS or the bad, good, excellent rating. There's many different ways they could have done this, and once again, they just choose not to have a browser-based system to actually let you join in with these things. It's just it's always the convenience factor of being inconvenient, I suppose. That's one way to look at it.
Yet, and I'm terrified of when it does come.
That's that sucks. Oh.
No head again.
No.
Okay. All right. I kind of like it with no head. I think that looks pretty good.
Oh, is this dude just in a team with 3 storms?
Everyone's a storm.
Oh!
What is that? What is going on
Everything's
there?
disconnected.
That's cool.
I'm kind of way into it.
Also very cool helmet style.
It looks like Nebula in Infinity War.
Oh, when Thanos
Yeah.
rips her apart? Yeah.
Kind of rips her apart.
That was fucked up.
Andromeda thing.
Yeah, reminded me of Andromeda. You're right. It was that ghost child or something.
Yeah.
Warping through the background there while you're talking to whomever. Exactly the same glitch. So, I don't know. Maybe they're taking notes from Andromeda and they just totally forgot about the glitches that came with it. That would be funny.
Buy my wares.
That's great.
You guys
Holy
notice that
shit.
What's Her Face is one of the vendors?
Who?
Louise from Bob's Burgers.
Oh, yeah.
What just happened? Oh.
Holy hell.
What?
All right. That's the game punishing you for skipping the cutscene.
Yeah, right. What is that?
Jeez, this
Throws you into
through?
a void.
How did we get from a cutscene to going into your armor? That was immediate.
I think I'm trying to remember how if they've coded. I'm trying to actually remember now because if they've done it in that kind of way, your body is basically actually in a separate zone, like basically like in a faraway skybox.
Right.
And then whenever you zone it basically just teleports it back. So if that cutscene's bugged out, you basically just fell through that invisible skybox there. So I haven't seen something like that in ages.
It kind of reminds me of before a level is loaded in Andromeda and you're walking through your ship and you just fall through the ground and then it loads up and then you're stuck in this space. You're like,
yeah, the textures load before the geometry.
yeah, it's like, what? There's no collision detection because there's nothing to collide with. It's like, oh.
Good luck, Space Cowboy.
Wee.
He's not even falling. He's like stuck
Yeah.
like completely.
Ooh.
Oh. Okay. Oh.
What the
Oh,
fuck
boy.
is this?
All right. That's a problem.
If that was scripted, that would be really cool.
That's the Anthem of creation. It's exploding
That
or
looks like some
whatever.
good thermal vision.
I actually.
Yeah, that would be a filter effect or something, but instead it's actually real.
It's a bug, yeah. Because that does look really like the way of how it lights up certain areas. You can kind of go, oh, that's like kind of bioluminescent like feature or something. Like you go into a new area, like you go into like an underground cave, and it's just like, ooh. It's all very
Imagine if you
very
had a
reacts to
scope,
light.
like a bioluminescent scope that was organic or something, or you had night vision on your mask. That might be a pretty cool way of doing it. Or maybe it's like a poison status and you're just like tripping out on drugs. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
You could learn from these bugs, Bioware. You could actually incorporate this in your gameplay if you really wanted to.
That looks cool.
Yeah, I'd play that.
Those are really cool.
Yeah. Man, everybody playing is this class. It's the cape.
People are.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Whoa, dude.
Oof.
They should probably work that out.
Yeah, you'd like to think, right?
I'm not like a designer, but
I'd hope they do.
See, that's kind of like the previous bug where that AI was trying to collide with the ground so he could find his footing, and he was just going back and forth. Same idea, only happens to a player. So.
Oh, there you go. He made it out.
that was impressive how long it lasted, though.
Yeah, for real.
Nice color scheme.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Whoa! What was that?
That reminds me of a cheater in like PUBG. He just like flies around.
For real.
Can't hit me today, buddy.
That's because of the netcode, right? Trying to catch up with packets. Yeah.
And he just goes, not today. Woo! Just ducked his
Nice
little
color
guys
scheme.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Yeah.
Oof.
That happens to me.
Nope, can't get me.
All right.
What am I looking for?
Oh,
Oh.
no.
Oh. Yeah, that's
What is that?
So that's a flare, which is just a way of signaling your friends, and it happened to hit one of his friends, and it just treated that as terrain. So it thinks there's no gravity. Just,
There's no collision detection amongst friends, so at least as far as I'm aware.
yeah. Oh, well, apparently the flares there were. They put some. They considered a flare connected with a person, so or a player unit. So
Nice.
yeah, smart, very smart there, Bioware.
Why am I not noticing what happened?
so you can. The emoji is to throw the flare, and all the flares got stuck together in the middle of the. That guy, I hate that guy.
I walked past him the other day. He goes, "I really don't like sauce." Seriously.
Whoa! Did you see that?
Yeah.
Blue Streak, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
That guy.
I walked past him the other day. He goes, "I really don't like sauce." Seriously.
What?
Is this the anthem of creation thing?
It's like they cranked up the animation cycle rendering rates or the frame rate on just that model. It just went.
I'm not supposed to bend that way.
That's usually what happens when you crank up everything. You crank up the frame rate to or whatever your rendering loop is. And you go as far as you can, and you see like you just launch yourself. I think you could do that in the console in Fallout. If you want to run across the Mojave in New Vegas, you just crank up your frame rate. You're just launching yourself.
I remember playing Fear, the first one, and the physics engine's tied to your frames per second. And when you're on the super rig of 500 frames per second, all the AI just completely bugs out when you hit them. Just the ragdolls go like. It's so much fun.
Oy. So where did we miss something? There you go. Go back. There you go. Oh, all right. Whoa,
That's
what the-
great.
His sauce thing.
I hate that guy. I see some world pop in.
See that guy?
Whoa! That's great.
It's a javelin perk. They can do that.
See, this reminds me of Andromeda with that. What's her name? Sitting down, where they just.
She's turning into a human pretzel.
Yeah, but in this case, it's rotating on a certain point, and it's not extruding, so it's not getting twisted. It's not following the mesh. It's just the mesh is getting reset as it goes back to the previous state, and the rotation transformation is still happening. And it's funny because it's on an axis, and the axis is slightly moving. So I don't know it's such a bizarre thing to have an animation state with a constantly changing magnitude vector, and the rotation is at a constant speed. So it's like, what the heck is? Why would this even happen? I don't even know.
It should also be noted that the lead animator left like about half a year before Anthem got released. Like, this guy was like in the company for like 14 years or something.
Oh, that guy, right? Yeah, the
Yeah.
monkey parts guy.
Yes. And he just up to the left and just went, "Nah, I'm out. Laters."
Can you
So I
ima-
don't even think he had that.
Can you imagine the arguments he might have had with the developers? Like, why can't you fix this? It's not supposed to do this. What happened? Why is my model twisting on itself? Oh, we don't know. We don't know. We didn't do this. It's not our fault.
It's not our job to report bugs.
I wonder if any of the writers, well, probably not, but there's not too many, would use like a pseudonym. They didn't want to be credited to Anthem or Andromeda. It's just like, I didn't do that. Yeah, I wasn't part of that. I was working for Bioware, but I did not have anything to do with that.
That's impressive.
Can't get over that.
Yeah, shoot him. Good idea. He's twisting worse.
Yeah, you fucked him up more.
That Storm class definitely looks and feels more like a Warframe class.
Oh, yeah.
than the others.
Loading there.
Oh, everybody's on the roof.
Ooh.
Oh,
the
the-
AI
oh.
is just off.
Yo, honestly,
Well, the AI isn't off. The models aren't being rendered of the level, so you know they rendered the characters, but it looks as if like when you load a level, like, or when you load something into memory, you usually start off with the level first, and it looked like the parts of the level, the geometry is loaded, but not the textures. So, and we can see that in other glitches, not only in Anthem, but also in Andromeda, where the geometry is loaded, but the characters aren't, or the characters are loaded, but their textures aren't. So you see, like, the face sometimes doesn't load, and you see their eyeballs, you see their tongue. Same idea.
Assassin's Creed syndrome.
Yeah,
But,
same thing that happened was it not Rebellion? What the hell was it? The French one.
Revelation?
I
No.
I have
Sorry,
no idea.
I don't know. I want to say
that's-
Revelation, but I got it wrong.
Yeah, but that's where I think it was really prevalent, and same idea. For whatever reason, it doesn't get loaded. The next step of the rendering loop comes by. It says, "Oh, time to load this," and for whatever reason, that aspect of memory didn't crash the system, but it kept going. So yeah, funny. It could be an issue of memory. It could be an issue of time. Like, you could probably, if this was a live thing, we could probably wait a minute. It would probably load, as whatever was in the pipeline is just getting a high render mesh or a high render texture to load. So these things aren't uncommon, but it's really funny to see it in this case at that level, because we're talking about look at how far those guys up in the air. I'm assuming you could actually explore that area.
No, you can't.
You can't?
You're locked into this one area. They're just background dressing.
Okay, so either they're just background, or literally these people should be on the ground, and for whatever reason they weren't loaded into the level properly. I don't know, because I don't know the level. I don't know how big the level is, and but if you're saying you can't go up levels, then it must be something on the ground.
Maybe they're riding the invisible stride.
Yeah, I'd have to actually play the game and walk
No,
through
there's no stride, but I just find it funny that one of the bugs in Andromeda was that the level would load, but the people wouldn't load. So if you got caught between a group that were having a discussion, you'd actually get like caught in between it, and you couldn't move out because people were hard.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So as soon as you were walking past them and they loaded,
You'd bump into
blocked
them.
you off.
Yeah, and there's actually people there's like a trio, and people like ran into them, and then the people loaded up, and they just got stuck there, and they had to reload.
Oy.
Oh shit! Yeah,
the place looks better now.
a little bit more open.
It's such a boring hub.
This is
man.
really cool. Whoa. See the hole?
Can you get to your javelin, please?
What version is this? This is crazy.
It looks like these people are supposed to be on the ground.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think the way they dropped them into the level, the calculation to do so wasn't accurate. So they think they're on the level, but they're not. And then the rest, and that's probably because of the level not loading properly with texture. Because what happens when you do a raycast, you want to make sure that your raycast is the refresh rate, not the refresh rate, the rate upon which you tick, the rendering loop ticks, catches that raycast hitting geometry. And if the geometry isn't loaded with certain properties, like a shader or whatever they're using to bounce off the surface of that polygon, it's not going to know where to go. So in this case, it must have hit something. The ray must have been, I don't know. Again, I don't know how they throw characters into a level. It looks like they just drop them in literally, but they don't render that. And they just said, okay, we're going to calculate this because we have nothing else. We have to drop this character in somewhere. And they'll just pick a value on the y-index, and that's it. It's funny, but it's such a silly thing to see broken. And I can only imagine it's a memory issue.
Bummer. Yeah, hopefully you can get to the javelin.
I've seen a surprising amount of
my.
people with PL.
Oh!
It hasn't actually loaded that. Oh my.
Yeah,
God,
so
so
the
yes.
geometry is loaded, but not the
Loaded.
geometry for the top. That's why you fell. Is that because you can't fall down?
Yeah,
You're not
that's
supposed
where
to
the
fall down.
platform is. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where your javelin is.
Yeah, so
it's
you
supposed
have
to be
this.
elevated.
You have the
That's
geometry loaded,
Bizarre.
but the collision detection for your character cannot detect or cannot measure the tick count as you're walking past it, or whatever they're using for collision detection based on your user, which is obviously different than the collision detection they're using for everyone else, or else they wouldn't be floating in the air. So this one's obviously a little more accurate, but whatever is being detected, because there is no texture map, is just saying, yeah, you don't exist. Phoop, keep falling, and then whatever was on the bottom of the map is now being hit.
It just makes me like, when they were designing that level, why didn't they just keep that flat and then just put the other model on top? Why would you make a hole? I don't understand the hole. Why would they?
There's various ways to show a background image without actually having to do a poly count or do like an actual mesh. You don't need to have like you take like you wouldn't like to make a ball. You wouldn't actually take extrude a sphere or make a sphere in 3D Studio Max and then export a sphere. We're talking like thousands and thousands of polygons. That's ridiculous. You would take a reasonably attractive looking ball and then you say, okay, can I apply a texture map to that? Can I use a bump map or some sort of technique to make it look like a sphere as the shader hits it, or the shader is being rendered? And that would be a more economical way of doing it, so you're not making ridiculously accurate looking spheres when you could get almost the same effect with texture maps and shaders.
Yeah.
So in this
I'm
case,
just
it's
trying
like nothing's loading, but whatever is used for collision detection on your character is just hitting whatever's there.
I just don't understand, why is there a hole there? I mean, was the actual thing supposed to rotate at one point or
I
something?
think I've seen, again, I haven't played the game, but I remember seeing when you're going up the ramp, there is a gap.
Right.
And again, I don't remember because I don't remember what the 2016 video was, but there was a hole, but you could never go into it because there were staircases going up.
Okay. It just seems like really bizarre. Like, you just have it flat and then you just have an elevated point of where your javelin is. It's just, that's a lot simpler rather than just having a hole to, it's like the hole serves no purpose.
Yeah, you didn't need a hole really.
Well, yeah, look at that.
At least it still spins.
Would it be great if it just finally
you don't need
popped
a hole
in?
to have that rotating. That's like,
You don't need a cylinder, that's for sure. Yeah. This could have been a normal sized platform, or actually no platform, and just have a cylinder pop out of the ground. Like, that would explain where there's like a garage for whatever, and you call one up and it just gets put on a trolley and goes to the cylinder and pops it up. Basic.
I kind of got
basic.
this. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how. Again, I don't know how the game or the mechanics room or whatever where you store all your mechs look like, but it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, I kind of got a feeling that they had things in and they just had to remove them because they were basically breaking everything. So.
That makes me think about the lobby system. Where does that come into this level? Because it looks like you get into your mech and then you go to the lobby and then you go to the launch platform and then you're outside. So
You couldn't get out.
I always just think it's amazing how the guy has to squeeze, like a man's has to squeeze into that robot. Like that looks.
Yeah, how
very
them legs getting in
uncomfortable.
there?
The Interceptor in particular.
Yeah.
Oh, the AI just failed again.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, this is what happened to Ex Latalis on one of his. This is one of the last conversations in the game, I think. And yeah, it's just an animation state that is not complete, and it gets stuck in a loop. So, not sure how and why, but we're talking like really basic. I'm talking not even first year development errors. This is like someone rushed to put this into the deployment of the game or whatever, and didn't bother to actually test it in a low environment of memory, high environment of memory, resource. Because when you're talking about memory, you want as much RAM as possible. And from what I understood, because of the glitch of the game crashing, there's all kinds of reasons why that is. So the swap file on the hard drive is too small. You don't have enough RAM. You're overheating your CPU or your GPU, and your hardware can't take it. And that's what's causing it to turn off. So in this case, it's I would say it's, again, another memory issue, not being loaded, not being tested under certain scenarios where they're being stressed. So things not loading, things not colliding, your CPU or GPU not being fast enough to calculate that. Like I guess they're assuming 24 FPS. I don't know if they can go any lower than that, or why should they? But this is not even a network stressful test. This is just walking around in the frickin' single player environment. So I don't know how this could even be a problem unless they're not dumping the loaded levels or all the other assets in memory that you just played or what you just came from. So it's a process called garbage collection. Like, when you defeat enemies in video games, they usually just disappear. And that's done for various reasons, but the main one is garbage collection, so that you can remove them from memory and free up memory for other things to happen. So this is one instance where an animation state, which is already loaded, just is not given enough memory to actually go through its cycle, and it just keeps getting stuck on its one thing, and it's doing the loop, because all animation states essentially are loops. Like an idle animation state is a loop, and this one is going by, like, I don't know, 2 seconds out of 10 seconds or whatever it is. So these things are common, but they're so basic, and I cannot believe Bioware has screwed up on this.
That's dialogue, yeah. Oh, wow.
You see his like
Awkward.
His shoulders are like.
He's just shrugging.
You know what that reminds me of? I don't know if you guys remember seeing. There's this exercise machine where it pretty much electrocutes your muscles.
Oh, yes, I remember those.
This little Asian doctor invented it, and you see him. He's talking to you, and his shoulders are constantly jittering. Dr. Ho, or I don't know what his name exactly, but it just reminds me of this.
What's interesting is that you actually see that character in the 2017 trailer that they first show off. He's on the left-hand side as you walk into the crowd.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if he was an actual character. Yeah, so I'm not sure if he was intended to be that, or he was just background dressing and they just kind of reused his model. But he was there, so.
He's shrugging real hard.
He's like stuck in an animation.
Yeah.
Huh.
My favorite
So this is
character.
Xbox.
His name is Moana.
That big
some
boy.
PC, yeah. Yeah, Colossus class is pretty good, man.
I need to get that
More
one.
people should have started as Colossus because it's fun.
Started as Ranger and
All
it's kind
things
of boring.
considered. I like all the headless. Whoa, okay. It's back.
Yep.
I don't like the way he's like kind of like.
Yeah, right.
And this is PC.
Woo, he's getting wavy, bro.
We're seeing these on across.
Yeah, that is again another Andromeda thing. It seems as if they learned nothing from Andromeda days.
I just think that, yeah, I can't remember. I think it was One Angry Gamer basically saying that if Bioware has ignored the ant system from Frostbite, then they've kind of neglected a rather important part of it. Like, I can't remember, the ant system says something about that. The animator's supposed to do the blending itself. It's just ant just joins it all together for you. I'd have to reread it, so someone else can inform me about that. Probably spouted a bunch of nonsense, but so I kind of got the feeling that Bioware is deliberately ignoring key tools that have been handed to them, and it's kind of going, no, we can't use that, and it's showing.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think this is a design and modeling issue. I think this is purely a game engine issue and how to accommodate all these assets at once. Because again, open world games are huge, and you're constantly loading new memory, loading new areas, and destroying old ones in memory. So you're going to get you really have to be very good with garbage collection. You really have to be very good at what's called lazy loading, where things are being loaded as you advance. But the problem with that is I noticed that Bioware also has loading screens. So it seems like they have like a 2 or 3 tier system for loading things and loading and releasing things into and out of memory, which is very complicated. So open world sort of demands you have to do lazy loading, but it's gated. Like you have these gates where suddenly you go into another level and it just has to load the entire level and destroy everything that came before. And it's the same thing if you want to exit that level. So something is going on. Something is wrong here. And I don't think someone like, I think what's happening these days, this is just my observations, I could be wrong, that because we have so powerful GPUs, we think, oh, you know what, it's running great on our benchmark. We don't have to worry about it, without testing it on lower end machines or higher end machines. And so you get these little glitches that the hardware was not tested for, which to me just speaks ill of development in general, because you never test on your high end machine or you never test on your benchmark. You test on the lowest minimum requirements, and then everything on top of that is like, you know, a new texture pack, a 4K texture pack, or an update to DirectX, which has a new shader, or using GPL or using OpenGL to render things now. Like you should already have these things figured out before you start adding new stuff.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do not understand this, how this could have happened. It's such a rookie mistake.
I've kind of got the feeling that they were literally trying to build the house before they had the tools ready. Basically, because once again, because Casey Hudson unceremoniously left in the first 2 years of this game's development. So whatever his ideas were probably so absurd. Like when I showed you Mass Effect's original design documentation, right. It was insane of the things that he wanted to add in. You kind of go like, Casey Hudson's insane, and you need to have someone to bring him in check. You need someone to go, no, remove that. That's insane. That's ludicrous. And I think a lot of those ideas almost kill Mass Effect, really, unfortunately.
I would say a lot of design docs are. I wouldn't call that a design doc, by the way. I think that was more like a high end concept. And like when you see a design doc or a game Bible, it's really, really thick, which means that it's gone through a lot of iterations and a lot of hands. So I think those problems would have been ironed out before they even touched the workshop, before they started building anything. So the thing with Anthem is I don't think you're right. They obviously built stuff before they were ready to get going. But the design doc or the game Bible wasn't very, like it didn't have an accompanying technical doc with it. It just had design. And you're like, oh, well, we can make this big city, we can make this big walker, but how do we implement that? Like, there's no walkers in the game that animate.
Yeah, that was actually one of the big problems about the development of Mass Effect 1, was that when things were broken, or what they could actually say to the development team was just that it's broken. They couldn't tell them how it was broken. But it was only because of Bioware and I think Pandemic Studios working alongside with them. Because when Bioware and Pandemic merged together, didn't they, to make a super studio? But they managed to muddle their way through it and actually make a product.
Well, that was using Unreal, I believe. So
yes, yeah, it was. And obviously the team they did make a lot of mistakes, but they learned a lot from that. And this one just seems like these are new hires that, like, you could sort of say, oh, the admin team's the more experienced, but building doesn't hold experience, unfortunately. As much as they would like to, like, you just walk into Edmonton and just beams of information just goes into your brain. So
it's well, if they were, I could probably argue that if they use a different engine, they'd probably be a lot safer. But again, we don't know how these teams are composed. We don't know what the mandate is from EA that you have to use Frostbite. Like there could be arguments made on both sides saying, hey, maybe if they used Unreal or some other high-end system, it could be just as bad. So it depends. It really depends on the skill of developers and getting these things to work.
I just think this is a lot of. I may have said this too in a previous stream, but I just think that Anthem is just the salvaging of whatever Project Dylan actually was. And EA just went, Bioware, you've had 6 years. You need to get something out the door now because you're under because they're under EA's blanket, and you can blame EA as much as you want, but EA's EA, and if you join them willingly, then you have to know exactly what is to be expected of them.
Well,
or what they
let's
expect.
be honest. 6 years is plenty of time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, and people say, EA's bad, don't get me wrong, but in the case of Bioware, they've been incredibly lenient in comparison to, let's say, Visceral, who only had, 2 bad games. That was Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3, maybe Hardline.
But people still love those games. Like that's a franchise that people enjoyed. And you could argue I could argue the same thing about Mass Effect. It's those last 2 games were just like, whoa, that is a tonal shift. The quality was way different, and focus was given to this or that. But those games sold. So
that was marketing, really, wasn't it? So that's because they had EA.
Yeah, for sure. I think
giant marketing.
Yeah, that was definitely part of it, but it was a moneymaker. So I don't see why EA wouldn't say, okay, you guys can make quality. People like you. Your games aren't that broken at that point in time. We'll give you some more freedom. And that's what I really liked about that quote by one of the doctors. It says EA gives you enough rope to hang yourself.
That's true. And I think with EA, it's only when you start to fail, like with Visceral, like Dead Space 2 was actually a failure in EA's eyes. That's why I think EA kind of demanded more concessions. But I think with BioWare, because they actually swan dived into yearly releases for a period, which almost killed them. Because they had Mass Effect 2, then there was Dragon Age 2, then there was Mass Effect 3, and those 3 games were like one after the other straight away. Boom, 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 all from the same studio. So.
Yep.
I don't like the way he's kind of like.
Yeah, right.
And this is PC.
Woo, he's getting wavy, bro.
We're seeing these across all platforms.
Nice.
Yeah, that's probably.
Then.
This is really funny because I thought there was a limit to how far you could fly. So it looks like this is when you load a level. And again, it doesn't know where to drop you. You're just stuck there.
Sick beats.
Don't you hate that NVIDIA that notification when you're
I wish you
capturing
could turn it
gameplay?
off.
It drives me
drives me.
insane.
Yeah.
Sorry, so was in the chat there. Wasn't Dragon Age Origins pre-alpha in the Neverwinter Nights engine? I forget, because I remember seeing something like ages ago, like really, really super early, like Michael Aidlaw showing it off in the engine before they moved on to the what do they call it, Eclipse, but I know that's the wrong one.
Engine for if someone could
Dragon
Google
Age.
that, I'd really like to know because
I know a lot of the pre-alpha stuff was made in the previous, like a lot of their design builds were done in the Neverwinter Nights 2 engine, then they moved on to a new one.
you have to remember that Neverwinter Nights was extremely popular, not because of the game itself, but because of the modding community behind it. And that was one of the ways that some new developers got into gaming because it allowed all that freedom and customization, even though the game itself, like I remember playing the main campaign, it was kind of hokey, but it was designed to be like, if you like pen and paper games or playing that style, it lent itself to that style. You can make your own campaigns, you can make your own levels, and that was pretty smart for giving a very niche product to D&D players. And that was also the beauty of how Blizzard made Warcraft 3. That's why Warcraft 3 blew up. That's why we have tower defenses. That's why we have hero map battles, and that's why League of Legends exists and all the other Dota style games.
Well, Battle Royale is from a modding. Oh, actually, I say Battle as a bit of a preference, as that when people talk about Battle Royale was made from a modder, like it's like no, it wasn't. It was actually made in the 90s in game form. I know people talk about the book and the movies and things like that, but I remember playing Delta Force 2 in 1998 with a game mode called Last Man Standing, which was Battle Royale, basically. You just spawned on the map with rifles and just off you went, you know.
A lot of great games from the 90s and early 2000s, yeah.
Get why it captures it.
It's considering it puts other things on the screen that it doesn't capture.
This is
This is bad.
pretty cool.
Sorry, speaking
How
of this as
like-
well, I remember one thing when they were talking about the development of Dragon Age 2 was that in order to get that out the door, the Mass Effect team had to be assigned to get Dragon Age 2 out because it was that of a rush job. But the Mass Effect team was working on the DLC and Mass Effect 3. So it was just like one of those really bizarre moments. Like basically the entirety of Bioware had to get assigned to Dragon Age 2 as they were working on other things.
Right, and that's when we saw a lot of the graphical missteps in quality, at least with Dragon Age, and again, different engine. So but they were using that engine previously, so they knew what they were doing with it. Even though there were drops in quality, it wasn't bug filled. It wasn't this. It's not what we're getting today. This is insane. Look at how much. Look at these crazy errors, and you could say all the stupid things about the cave levels and in Dragon Age 2 being redundant, and at least they didn't break. You know, at least they were working. You know, I'll take a pre-used map level of a cave, provided it loads, as opposed to whatever Inquisition was doing, which was here's a big level. Oh, there happens to be a cave, part of the level. It's like great. Is there any value to me exploring the wilderness aside from attacking a bear a 17th time? Oh, thanks you, James Moore. As someone who's never played the Mass Effect trilogy, do you have any advice before I jump in? Jesus. Oh. Class recommendations, any DLC to buy? Okay, that's a big question because there's lots of. You can get the. Is it the definitive edition? It's all 3 that comes with all the DLC. What is that called? Collector's edition?
Something like that. It might be on Origin. It's probably on Origin Access.
Yeah, well, again, in terms of classes, Mass Effect 1 is kind of like, I wouldn't say Baldur's Gate in space. It's kind of like a
KOTOR kind of style.
KOTOR shooter in space. Yeah, so the classes are very different than what you get in Mass Effect 2. When I play Mass Effect 2 and up, I'm always Vanguard. I have the most fun because I'm constantly moving myself around the battlefield in terms of gameplay. I really like that idea. And that was also present in KOTOR. So I really get a fun experience. If you like sniping, a lot of people love the infiltrator class and doing all sorts of sneaky stuff. You can't. Okay, there's not a lot of sneaky stuff you do in the game, but you can go invisible and run around and find cover. So it's basically a cover shooter. And biotics were really powerful in the first game. They got nerfed in the second game.
Unfortunately.
What else is there in terms of gameplay? But in terms of DLC, if it comes with everything, great. But if you want the best DLC out there, Lair of the Shadow Broker, for sure. The next one up is going to have to be the Arrival DLC. You'll have to get that because that's the bridge between 2 and 3 because they couldn't be bothered to make an actual story that connects the two. As for Mass Effect 3, I don't know in terms of DLC.
Leviathan's all right from what I've heard.
I heard that it has that detective aspect where you're sort of getting clues and trying to figure it. Like, you don't actually have a detective mechanic where you figure it out yourself, but there's clues to get, and there's like this big mystery going on. Again, I never played that one, but that I heard was pretty good. Yeah, but other than that, I haven't played Citadel, so I don't know. But I reviewed it because I've seen playthroughs. That is the big send off. I did play Overlord. I thought that was kind of creepy. I thought the music in Overlord was great. I liked the Paragon Renegade choices. I didn't like how that choice translated over to the third game. But you know, it depends what you care about. If you care about story, Lair of the Shadow Broker, Arrival, obviously extended cut, and I think a lot of people last time we had a few chats were talking about the MEHEM mod or the Happy Ending mod. Yeah, same idea. Get that, forget all the crap in the ending, just skip it, and you'll have a better time, story-wise at least. Okay, as for earlier, another super chat. Dragon Age Origins used Bioware's Aurora engine, also used by Neverwinter Nights and KOTOR. There we go.
Thank you. That was the name engine. I don't know why is Eclipse the one that was used in Origins?
Yeah, I think Aurora came from Eclipse.
It's like a addition. Okay, that's why I might be getting.
Yeah, I think that's. I can't remember the exact how it.
I'm
works,
probably
but
thinking of something that's completely different. To be fair, to be honest.
Eclipse is an actual IDE for Linux users as well as PC Mac users. It's to build software in. You could use Java, you could use PHP, you could use all kinds of languages. So that's where my mind went. It was like Eclipse. Is that an engine? I don't know. But I think you might be right. It isn't an engine. So yeah, with other DLC, just don't worry about it. I can't remember. I think the one with Kasumi was cool.
Stolen Memory.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but again, it's not necessary.
Like most of Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. EA just released a massive patch today with the connection issue fixed, apparently. They have a shit ton of supposed fixes on their dock. Well, that's good. I mean, it reminds me of the patch releases by Andromeda that I think went up to 14. It was pretty crazy. So you can imagine an always online game getting patched every bloody week. So don't know if anyone wants to jump into the Anthem world yet. Maybe wait a year if it's still alive. I don't know. I'd be still waiting to see all the errors and glitches that happen.
How did the fact that all of them are in it at once is pretty crazy. I wonder if everyone saw that on their end.
They were running on the ground.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe they didn't. It's like when you play PUBG and the
Yeah, I
building
think
doesn't
it's just
load.
you.
You see the Hound?
Just
oh, shit.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what's going on in this scenario, the animation state is not even playing. It's not even rendering. But the AI is working. So the AI is actually changing its position, but there's no corresponding animation state. It's just pretty much loaded with the idle animation or the first frame of the idle animation, and just that's it. That's what's going on here. And that's done for several reasons, but obviously this is a glitch. Usually what happens is you have a Z buffer, which tells you how far away you are from an object for it to be rendered properly. And for whatever reason, the Z buffer is not far enough to constitute animation state, so I don't know what's going on.
My favorite things, like my favorite glitches, is when an enemy will just kind of like glide.
Just like wig out, yeah.
So funny.
God, he just keeps going.
Again,
Like that
this
one
class.
from Andromeda where you see Liam sliding with his arms like pointed in one direction. He's like just skirting around, firing his weapon with his arm through his chest. It's quite funny. It's like, all right, he just goes, "You got flanked." It's like, all right, mate. Fair enough.
Oh, the errors with Liam when he goes through the ship were just, I couldn't, like, those are that was the best one I think I've ever seen.
I must go now. My planet needs me. Yeah,
That was the
good.
best. I love that. I love that glitch so badly. I was just cracking up every time I see it. He just walks through everything and he just leaps into the air through the ceiling and he's gone. Oh, we got another super chat. Thank you, Bad Carrier 6. You said you reviewed. Yes, I did. I reviewed the Citadel DLC. I remember you reviewing the trailer, but I never remember a review of DLC itself. When did that video come out? Wait a second. Did I review Citadel DLC? I don't think I did.
Oh, you reviewed the trailer, as I said. Yeah, I remember you reacting to the trailer.
Oh,
to it.
I remember who reviewed. My apologies. There was a user, a friend of mine, who did an excellent job. That's the person who reviewed it. My apologies. Yeah, geez, you know what? It's been such a long time. I do remember talking about it, but yeah, okay. He did a full review, and his name escapes me because I haven't talked to him in a while. Really smart dude. And he decided to do it. And I was like, dude, go crazy. He showed it to me before, and I thought, wow, what a great review. And you know what? I'm gonna find you, Mr. Mad Courier, and I'm gonna leave it in the comments of that review because it was absolutely excellent. Because he went scene by scene, and General Lucas he might have done it too. I don't remember, but there was another user on YouTube, and he was really good. He actually won the. I made a competition years and years ago. It was the Steve competition. And he made the best video for it, and then he actually went ahead and did the Citadel review for it. So I do apologize. You're right. I did not do a review or analysis of Citadel. And that was just sort of me being a bitch, because I really did not like the fact that Citadel DLC was a thing. And I sort of, I didn't really boycott it, but at the same time I was like, you know what? I don't like it on principle. And that's kind of what this channel was based off. I came from the Bioware forums in rage because no one would understand conversations. And for Bioware to create Citadel DLC means that they were listening to all those arguments, and all they wanted to do was try to keep pace with their fan base. And to do that, you just crank up the fan service as high as you go. And that's exactly what Citadel DLC is. It's kind of like, oh, you know all those problems we have with storytelling and choices not mattering and characters being reduced to nothing. You know all that crap? We don't give a shit. Instead, we're just going to get your waifus, your husbandos. We're going to get a party going. You're going to have fun. It's going to be silly. We're going to have a shepherd clone. We're going to have all the memes we could possibly load up there. And that's what Citadel DLC is. And it's like a, it's something I just do not appreciate. And that's kind of what's happening with, which is odd, with Star Trek Discovery. If you actually watch Star Trek Discovery, I don't personally watch it, but I'll catch a friend watching it. I'll sit down with them and see a few minutes. They're reverting back to original Trek and all the tropes, all the things that made the original series work. And they're playing with that world now because that's all they've got, because they screwed up the first season. And some people are like, yeah, it's actually a little bit more watchable than before. And I'm like, I guess, but they're not doing anything new. They're just putting a twist on what was already there after they supposedly learned their lesson, just to keep face. So, yeah.
So Lincolnski's actually posted something interesting in the chat there, saying that Bioware lost Mass Effect 1 source code, which would explain why there was no evolution from it. Yeah. I wonder if this is the same guy, because I remember it on another stream. He said that there's a guy on Twitch that was a Bioware employee, ex-Bioware employee, and he didn't have some nice things to say about Casey Hudson. Let's just say about that.
Really?
So I'm not sure if he could post anything, because obviously we're in a bit of a delay. But if that's the Care Level 0 guy, then great, because I've just got that in my Google search right now. But yeah, that's interesting, because that's something that Racevic never actually touched upon in his review of Mass Effect 2, when they talked about they revamped Mass Effect 2. I'm just like, oh, this seems like it's completely different. And I either think that they got rid of it completely, or in this case, if they lost the source code, then that's pretty bad. How'd you lose the source code in the same building?
Yeah, that was before the age of concurrent versioning systems, or CVNs, where you have branches of builds of the game, and you just sort of forget about them. It's like, yeah, what was that branch where you made that gun or whatever? It's like, yeah, it wasn't any good. We'll just forget about it. But I made all the other changes to the rest of the code. It's like, it's gone now.
how do you lose? Like, I can understand if it's an old game. Like, I remember Homeworld Cataclysm. They lost the source code to that because obviously the developers are defunct and things like that. It's like, I can understand. But being in the same building with a release right there and within the same year is just mental. Of how do you lose the entire build in a year? Like, that's just
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
we have backups now online, and there's SVN, there's Git. The one that is popular nowadays is called GitHub. And anytime you commit your changes to the repository, it's there. Like it's elsewhere. It's no longer in your office. It's being stored on a private or a privately rented server on GitHub. So you're never going to lose any of your source code nowadays. And it's been that way for at least 8 or 9 years. I'd say probably more. And but back in the day, they did have CVNs. There was one on Linux called Mercurial, and then SVN got popular. Then Git got popular. So this is in all software industries. So everyone has a backup. There's no excuse for losing your software or losing your build. It's somewhere on the repo, and that's just how it goes nowadays. The problem is what you get on the final build is crap. So it doesn't matter what you had in your repo, it's still a piece of crap, which is bizarre. So unfortunately. But yeah, if anyone knows anything about what UDP was talking about of Casey Hudson, I'd love to know. Anyway, we shall continue.
Yes.
This is the coolest. What is this one called again?
Storm.
Storm. Can't remember things. They all sound like video game words.
Ranger, Storm, Interceptor,
Believe
Colossus.
it or not, I'm working on.
It's like an 80s music video.
Just need the blue screen background effect.
Yeah,
Is
that's
this the
a
in-game
problem.
music?
Yeah, it's something exciting is happening. You're supposed to be rescuing Matthias.
Jesus.
Whoa.
Again.
Yeah, I'm okay with these. I think they're kind of
That's
cool.
cool.
Oh.
That's cool. I like that. And it's not even intended.
Yeah, that would be a really nice filter, but can't do that. They got their big lush green jungle to show off, so it's like blood vision or something. It's like everyone's Soylent Red from Inquisition. I swear they copied the code from Inquisition.
Just read this
Oh,
time.
that's awesome.
Have you guys gotten the audio thing yet?
Yes.
Sucks.
Yeah, that's bad.
I haven't.
Lincolnski, actually, I'm going to check that out. I've got it up on my tab right now. So cheers. It's awesome.
Well, thank you very much, Linkeski. We did not know that, and that might be the topic of another live stream. Who knows?
Yeah, the video is going to be titled Why?
All the things that could have been.
Yeah.
No, Chris Etoile is one of those guys who was a really strict, good author, and the things they did with Legion, he was like, "What? No, that's not what Legion is," and I thought that was intelligent. Characterizing a robot to be human is a little tough to do, and why would you do it? Without proper exposition, it could have worked well. It did work, but not well. When Legion just slaps armor onto his shoulder for no reason, that is not what a robot consensus hive mind would have done. So,
And where did Shepard actually lose the armor piece? I don't remember, because your chest, if you've lost a chest piece that size, that means that the rifle impact has gone through your shields, so your shields have gone, and it's blown off a massive part of the ceramic plating, which now means that Shepard is dead.
that means his arm is at least removed from his body. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be in 2 different places at once. So,
What's the audio thing?
It just stops. The audio just cuts
Yeah, it
out.
just cuts
Oh,
out.
that's a bummer.
And doesn't come back until you restart the game.
Yeah, honestly, they should add filters or something, like mask filters that you can unlock to get
This would be cool during the world event.
Predator
Yeah.
vision. Yeah,
Yo,
Tape.
This is so awesome.
yeah. That's pretty good.
I
Yeah,
don't know
great job.
How do you emote?
D-pad if you're playing on controller. You've been playing for that long and you don't know how to emote?
No, because we're using mouse and
No,
keyboard.
yeah, the game also doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah, it tells you literally
I also
nothing.
don't know how to combo.
Oh, you don't? Fake game.
I'm not even sure what's going on here, but it's a combination of things. Obviously, it's an animation state of a character flying, and it forgot to get reset. So what ends up happening is, even though the player is not moving, and that could be because of the net, could be because of whatever reason, and the game thinks that he's actually flying, even though there's no magnitude vector. He's just sitting there.
Yeah, he's either going to get disconnected or he's going to go skip up delete.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible he's being disconnected. It's possible there's a delay or who knows, but it's a combination of errors just happening all at once, and it's beautiful.
I found out how to combo by mistake.
Basically, it's just like do one thing and then do another thing.
The game should tell me that.
It's like this dude here.
That
can't
guy
combo.
looks like a glitch. Do you see his paint job?
Again with this one.
Yo, I love Halo Combat Evolved. Thank you for laughing, boys.
Wow, that looks really stretched texturing right now. That's like, oh, that's bad.
I don't know if that's like, you know how they have. This is the same issue with the Z buffer, where the closer you get, there's pop-in of higher quality images or textures. So this could be the base texture, and they haven't rendered the other things because A, there's not enough memory to do so, B, it's slowly loading it up, or C, the draw distance is not bothered to, there's no need to. But that's what you get when you don't have all the bump mapping, all your shading, any other filters or any other kinds of materials applied to your textures. So you get nothing, essentially.
I wish there was any gun in this game that was as good as the Halo Combat Evolved pistol.
Oh, I know, right?
Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, and this stuff.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
You're like half frozen.
Oh, this is great.
I think this is a mix of him being frozen.
So that is pretty cool. I don't know what's going on there.
And the game just rubber
Just
banding.
breaking the hell out of the game.
Oh!
Oh, is that the PUBG
They got,
man
yeah, they got
behind
the
it?
level 3 helmet.
Yeah, this is very common. So happens in a lot of games, but definitely in Andromeda. So nothing new here.
I want
the
to
pub-
be inside you.
PUBG man.
This shit
hate
always
this.
freaks me out,
Yeah.
man.
That happens with the Javelin if you like, you know, you
Yeah,
access the loading screen will do that sometimes, and it freaks me out.
Nice
Thank
zoom.
you for the
Yeah,
zoom.
nice zoom.
Oh,
Wait, what was
this is
that?
definitely on console. I can tell by the frame rate. Yep.
Oof.
He's for sale in the shop.
I wish we knew.
Thought he was committing suicide there. Hanging himself.
What platform.
Again?
specifically everything was
Wow.
on. So here's the thing, though.
thing
Like, this
behind her
is a
is
bad
crazy.
glitch, but I'm also really into it.
They should disassemble the parts like that.
Like, let you blow it out.
Yeah, like the RoboCop remake where they pull off his arms and his legs.
That'd be cool.
Oh,
Again?
so we got a lot of these. Okay, so this is definitely a thing. Oh boy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, I love those graphics settings too. Not judging, not judging.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's rough. That was pretty good. What an entrance.
My God.
I'm here to do the stronghold.
It's like some yoga stuff there.
Yeah. Stretch your leg up to your neck. It's like, all right.
I honestly didn't think this game was going to be this fucked when we sat down to do this.
Really?
Yeah, me either, because I haven't had any of this.
Yeah, same.
Oh, this is my
Oh, yeah.
favorite. Yeah, I have this one all the time,
You should
actually.
reach into that dude.
That's a really cool looking... Yo, he looks like the bad guy from Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah,
Ghost.
right? Shit,
That was
cool.
pretty
Yeah.
good. That was a good ending. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for sending us. That was as big of a shit show as I expected. Let us know what you guys think about Anthem, though, whether you love it or hate it. We would.
Okay, so that was pretty much a collection of netcode issues and Andromeda bugs that either they copied the code over before Andromeda was fixed like, which makes sense because, you know, while you're building something and someone has solved the problem and you can use it in another project, you just say, okay, give me your instance of that code or whatever build you've got, and we can apply that. And it's before that those bugs from that code got fixed. So all the same problems of you know, the Z buffer, of not having enough memory, not loading things quickly enough, not proper testing with low-end rigs. These are all common rookie mistakes that should have been solved years ago. Like, I mean years ago, like the first year or two of building this thing. Which, again, implies many things. It implies that they weren't doing things properly the first time, or the rendering engine they were using was never tested enough, or the actual machines they were using were so high that they didn't bother to stress test the netcode as well as the GPU on lower end rigs. So lots of problems that are just sad, and they're funny, but you know, it's just who knows what they're gonna be fixing the next few months, because this thing is gonna take another year to patch up if this is what they're gonna be doing with all the release schedules of events and new levels. Anyway, we've got one more video if you guys want to see it, and this is by, I think it's Mtash. He was like the biggest proponent as a YouTuber in November, December, January, and he's been doing content in February almost every other day, if not every day, because, well, he was pushing for the game, and
my friend,
he found one of the craziest bugs that might exist in gaming in general, or shooter in general. Hard to say exactly. So, how do we explain this? Aside from just showing it to you guys.
friends, I have found the worst gun, not only in Anthem, but in gaming history. I have found the worst weapon I have ever used in a video game to date. This is my soothing touch scout rifle. Ooh, look at that. Nice. Very nice. Feels good. Feels weighty. Feels sexy. Let me just shoot this guy in the leg here. Boom! Well, that's because he's got some plate in front. But, you know, this can do damage, right? But here's the issue. Wait. Are you guys noticing something here? Let me shoot him again. Alright. Now watch where my bullets go. Are you seeing where this bullet is hitting? My dudes! If I want to shoot that one, okay, I gotta shoot it this one. Hold on. All right, I'm shooting this one. All right, what?
How do you mess that up?
Yeah, this is beyond a rookie mistake. This is just bad. Like, someone doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know how to create a gun mod, or mod a gun, or create a gun, or whatever the process is in Frostbite to make a weapon. And the target reticule is completely off.
Yeah. It's not like the cone of fire has been expanded to a ludicrous degree. It's just that it's actually been moved, which is a bit...
Which is a really easy thing. Like, I can do this on Unreal, where what you're hitting is not where your target is going. And this is a point-to-point weapon, so there's no projectile. It's just whatever you are aiming at gets hit by the thing you're firing. So there's no, like, collision detection of a bullet. There's no collision detection of a missile or whatever. It's just boom, boom, boom. So this is literally someone taking the reticule that says you are colliding, drawing a ray or drawing a whatever that does collision detection, and shifting it to the right or the left for whatever reason. And that could be as simple as a function call to the engine for cranking up a value by 0.0 whatever. And instead of it being a modifier for whatever the gun is supposed to do, it actually modifies the targeting reticule. And it's possible, it's very possible, that the name of the function call to that operation was spelled the same or spelled very similar. And what happens, this happens a lot in certain IDEs where you type in your code and you hit dot, and what happens is you get a little drop down of functions, and you can literally just use your mouse or go up and down and find the function call you want, hit tab, it spells it all out for you, and it also gives you the function in brackets so you can type in your variables. And this is what I think could have happened. And it's such this is such a funny thing to get pushed into live that I can guarantee there was no QA done for this, because this would have been caught instantly. So they're pushing things to live without QA. That's how bad the pipeline is for deploying these changes in their patches at Bioware. This is beyond, this is like someone let this go. There were tickets on the Kanban board, or there were tickets in their Jira or whatever ticketing system they're using, and they completely weren't paying attention. Now, it's possible there were like thousands or hundreds of other tickets, and this was just one of the many that got missed. It's very possible because there's lots and lots of bugs in this game. But for something like this to happen, that means the developer thought this was good. That means the QA person didn't check or thought it was good. That means the project manager who saw this thought it was okay or didn't even see it. So it went through all these eyes and no one cared. So thank you, Red Chaostry. One of the most impressive dev failures to launch Sword of the Stars 2. Oh, it's a 4X game, really. Its release was one of the worst I remember in the industry. The lies and lies and lies were terrible. I'm not familiar with Sword of the Stars. Let me write that down. I'll be happy to research that. I love 4X games, usually because they're fantasy or science fiction. And obviously my avatar, not my Discord avatar, but my avatar for my YouTube channel is Endless Space Stew. So yeah, I'll be happy to check out that game and the story behind it. So yeah, this wonderful gun glitch is it's really bad. And I wouldn't say it's the worst weapon in gaming history. It's probably the worst weapon glitch in gaming history, because this got pushed to release. And again, this tells us the QA in Bioware is really bad. So,
ethereal at one point.
is that there's just as bad? I have no idea. But this, for a game of this size and this amount of time and this amount of money, under the EA brand, or the Bioware brand, published by EA, I cannot imagine this happening.
Yeah. I mean, you'd kind of give something like this kind of project to, if you were to make a looter shooter, I'd give this to like Respawn, because they have experience with big stompy mechs, large environments, and the idea is putting a looter aspect to it all, and they could, I reckon Respawn could make a game out of it.
But could they repair Anthem? That's the question. Like, could you give it to them right now?
Oh, no, because they work on a different edge. But I'm just saying that if EA was, let's say, assigning, kind of go, okay, we've got these kind of games that we want to try and compete with Activision, who would you use? And you wouldn't use Bioware. I'd scale back Bioware and kind of go focus more on role-playing games then, because I think that's what Bioware is in charge of, is that they are the lead division of EA's RPG section.
Really?
Yeah. That's because remember, like, they also had, like, ages ago, they had Command and Conquer. They had Mythic Entertainment under them as well with Warhammer Online. Obviously, they had Star Wars: The Old Republic. Right. So yeah, they were supposed to be the RPG branch, but I think something may have changed. I don't know. Well, obviously something's changed.
It's just, obviously the talent has changed and the quality has changed. So. Yeah.
What is going on? Oh my! What is going on here? Are you kidding me? I literally have to miss by like 5 feet to hit the target. Am I being joshed here? Am I being trolled? I'm on target. All right, I'm off target. Look at this thing. It's just crazy. Now, what's happening here, and I'm gonna send this in as a bug, is I get a 50% reduction in recoil when hitting a target. But what seems to be happening is as I hit the target and getting stacks of Striker's balance, it makes the aim worse. Now the first few shots seem okay, but as soon as you hit, as soon as you hit the third shot, you just aim off into the distance. Like, oh man! All right, so this gun is obviously broken. I can't use this weapon. I was gonna do a review of it today. I started using it and realizing, well, what the heck? I can't do it. So, Bioware, you need to fix this one because right now this is the worst gun in the entire game. Period. No questions asked. I mean, unless you want to aim all the way over here to hit the target. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, you had a good day. And I will see you freaking soon. Okay? I will freaking see you soon. Bye. So, if you guys are trying to avoid this weapon, it is called the Soothing Touch. Striker's balance, hits reduce recoil by minus 50%. Stacks, maybe that's right.
A picture that I showed you of where I think it was a masterclass weapon or mastercrafted weapon, and it said one of the bonuses I gave to you that it increased damage by 0%.
I don't know what GIF it was. This is the one that the problem with the two guns. That this is the glitch that was reported this week, is where you had the level 1, where is it? Yeah, the level 1 defender rifle that you start off with.
Oh, yes, the one because of the scaling issue.
Yeah, and it's just ridiculous how it's not as good as the masterclass gun. There was the second example of. Where is it? Here it is. Where they compare, the stats are the same, but one's a master class and one's a normal one. Like the stats are exactly the same. But the master class has the buff, like the 225%.
Yeah.
And it's actually worse than the normal one. Like the amount of bullets you need. If we describe it here, the first weapon, a legendary with 225%, does slightly less damage in 3 shots than the second weapon, which is level 1 defender, despite the damage pop-up numbers telling a completely different story. So this is a whole other issue, and it seems as if the people who are designing these guns don't know what they're doing, or there's no template, there's no documentation. And again, the QA is just not there. So if there's no quality assurance or assistance, or if there's no standard, the QA has nothing to do. It's like, is this adhering to all these checks that go into making a gun? Yes or no? And if you're talking about a looter shooter, there should be all kinds of checks. There should be all kinds of balance issues and things you can't do to certain kinds of weapons. So this is really ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, what are the other issues here? Anthem breaking your PS4. There was no actual reports of hardware being bricked, but they are turning the devices off, and I think that's because the hardware is just getting pushed to its limits, and it's just causing things to overheat and reset or turn off entirely. So again, that's another issue of stability and stress tests on higher engines, which they don't seem to know what they're doing there either. Again, there's no quality assurance. Xbox have seen the same problem. So it's just more of the same. It's more problems on making a stable game, making a game that's balanced. Now, balance in gameplay happens naturally, and you could argue that's what betas are for. but they had an alpha, they had a beta, and
Oh, they're alpha and beta. Well, they didn't actually have a beta. They left alpha 3 months ago.
right.
So that's a very, very short window to be like. And the 2017 demo that they showed off was pre-alpha, so that just shows you how clueless they were on developing a game.
Yeah,
Or ideas, that is, I should say, of what they wanted to actually add in. Then you've got the big list of things that they were going to add into the game, and they just couldn't. Even though they said that yes, it's confirmed, it's in the game, it's working, and then none of it was in release. So it's
yeah.
like,
It's really hard to comprehend what the devil has happened to this company. And we could talk about EA being evil, and yes, they are in certain regards, but this is all on the developer. This is not a publisher issue. This is not a mandate like you're forced to use the engine. Well, they've been using the engine for 2 of their games now, and the quality has been getting worse and worse. And that can only mean to me that they're not teaching new people to come in, or they just don't know what they're doing.
yeah, I think it's like, because obviously they've had people working on Anthem, and then they've had to take people from other projects. So keep in mind the entire Dragon Age team had to be reassigned to Anthem, and some of the remaining Andromeda crew, and the people from Austin Studio as well, who probably don't know much about the Frostbite engine. Probably someone doing the cinematics, but you know what I mean. It's so you got multiple people from different areas working on different things on different projects, and now they're being told to basically remake things. Like, no, that's just not going to work. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the only conclusion is that the Austin division is either going to be closed up or absorbed by EA to do something else.
I think the Austin studio is next on the chopping block, I reckon.
Weren't they the ones that were working on the Old Republic? Like, they're the ones that started
Yes.
it?
Yes, they started the Old Republic back in 2000 and late 2005, I believe, before EA's acquisition.
Okay. And
And
the Old
they
Republic
built
is
a-
still going on. It's still a money maker of some sort.
I think it's keeping afloat, but they'll probably just move all the stuff over to the Edmonton crew.
Right.
To be fair, yeah, like I always see studios as like one-ups for developers, and Visceral, the reason why they got shut down so quickly is because they were only one studio. If they had multiple studios, then they would have multiple lives. So.
Well, again, this is going to be ongoing for the next year if Anthem could even survive that long.
If he didn't survive.
Yeah, we have no idea, because who knows what the player base is. The sales have been garbage, and if the Old Republic went from a purchase, or was it subscription, to free to play, then this Anthem is just purchased once and then that's it. There's no monthly charge, so they have to make their money somehow, and you can only do so much with, was it skins, or what is it, the actual things they're called? I don't even know, but
Just the cosmetics.
whatever the cosmetics are called, yeah, you can only do so much with that if you really think, I'd really like this kind of look or material or whatever. That doesn't really, it doesn't really speak to me. Like when I was playing League of Legends, I never bought anything, but I was like tempted. Like, that's a really cool looking skin. They put a lot of effort into that. There's sound, there's new animations, there's when you teleport back to your base, there's all these beautiful music starts playing. One of the skins gave all the players on the team a new music track to listen to.
Yeah, that was DJ Sona.
Yeah, it was
had-
beautiful. I thought, what, if I were to buy one, I would have bought that. But there's reason, there's quality, there's an actual amount of effort just in a cosmetic skin. In Anthem, what do you get? A texture map.
That's one of the things that I may have said this before, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's like people are buying $20 for a skin pack, but it's like you go to League of Legends, you put $20 down, you will get a different quality, a high quality, different model for that character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's completely different. It's not just, oh, here's a new texture pack that they've just worked on. It's just like, no, you want an entirely new model. You want entirely new things and bits sticking out of you with gold and awesomeness sticking out. You know, you want your characters to have flames coming off them with a guitar. And
I know. Well, the reason, well, I remember Lux. She had the 4 transformations you can make. The elemental Lux, I think.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah, that's
huge skin. Like, holy crap! To do all that effort, that's like 4 skins in one with different sounds. That was amazing, and they did the same for Misfortune or not exactly, but something similar. All these different events that they match, like the magical girl vibe. They got some of the female chicks like animes.
the Star
make her-
Guardian.
Yeah, Star
that was
Guardian.
pretty-
Yeah, all these beautiful looking things.
And they also had the cinematics for them as well, which I thought was rather like, so they're pumping money into this and they're pumping money into the selling of that. So I thought that's pretty.
Interesting. League of Legends has always been like that was the jump because I was a hardcore Defense of the Ancients, Reign of Chaos, Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos player for about 2 years. So when I made the jump to League of Legends, I was like, okay, this is not the same, but I can see what they're doing, and that's when. Before that, before Dota 2 came out, there was the carbon copy of Dota Frozen Throne. I can't remember the name of that. New Earth, Heroes of New Earth, I think. And then, that was like the hardcore version. So it's pretty much what you got from the Dota on Reign of Chaos or Frozen Throne, and then that was like the better version. So everyone was like, oh, League of Legends is for like, the mainstream or the streamline, the easy mode Dota gamers. And I never got into it because I was like, well, I've already played that style of game for years and years. I played it in college. I played it on my own. So when League of Legends came out, it was free to play. Everything was cool. I was like, oh, this is gonna explode. And it's been going on so well. So the format, the style of game came from a map making module or part of a game that was hugely popular because it's Blizzard, and Blizzard makes extremely quality products. And just to see that transition was beautiful. So yeah, I know I haven't really touched Heroes of New Earth, Dota 2. I tried Paladins, I think it crashed on me. I was like, forget about it. And I still have my account with League of Legends, but I haven't touched it in years, so.
I think mine's still running because I bought like 3. I got what was it now? I got one in the Aurelia skin Fiora.
Oh, jeez. They've been remaking, like, it's kind of weird now because they're remaking
That's the thing,
all
they
the heroes.
remake the characters as well to make new metas out of them, which I thought was kind of cool. Like they actually go back and fix characters that need changing.
This is true, but also they take away some of the cool things that made heroes.
Yeah, but it's like 'cause when you add in the new items or have you, 'cause when you add in new champions, it sometimes can break the game, which has happened before.
Yeah, when Yasuo came out, that pretty much broke the game.
I remember when Cho'Gath came out and his model was actually larger than his attack frame could actually, so he couldn't actually attack, like do a melee attack.
I remember when Heimerdinger could make 14 different turrets.
Oh, what was that one now? The one where you could just keep stacking one item and it would just be so overpowered. And they had to remove it. That was it. It was Evelyn because she could turn invisible and you could stack Sunfire Capes which did true damage. Did like 45 damage per second. So you just basically got 5 Sunfire Capes with Boots of Speed and you're just invisible, just doing like, you know what I mean? You're just like doing 500 points of damage per second.
That was the Garen joke. What do you buy for Garen? Sunfire Cape. What do you buy for Garen? Sunfire Cape. How many Sunfire Capes? All of them. Then they had to say, yeah, you can't have stacking certain items. It's like, okay.
Yeah, to make them epic or whatever they call them now.
But again, I go back to my experiences with Dota on Reign of Chaos, and there was another better map. Again, I forget the name again, but they had things you could buy. Like in League of Legends, they introduced boots of speed, and you can only buy one pair of boots. But in this other map, like we're talking 8 years, no, maybe 5 years. 5 years before they came out with that idea for only one pair of boots. They had recipes and they had armor sets. So it didn't matter what order you bought your gear. You could only have like one sword or one helmet or one armor piece, like one chest piece. And then you can go to another, like a hidden, there were 3 hidden stores in the game, and you could explore them. And if you had certain other items or equipment, and you click on the recipe, it would transform into that item. So you end up getting the guy who's like, because if you play these games and they go on for more than 40 minutes, it's going to be a very competitive match. So the idea of getting the best gear and then making it even better was kind of like this. You're part of the cool club now. Ooh, and you would see the model of the sword or the helmet attached to the bone of the hand or the neck. So you would see the guy coming down with the certain swords, like, oh shit, he's gonna crit me and I'm gonna die. So that was the beautiful thing, because you could show off without having any emotes before there were emotes, that sort of stuff in your game. And that was always like, okay, now that he has the ultimate weapon, then he's just gonna start crushing the lane. And that was before League of Legends even came out. It was just this beautiful, beautiful map. And yeah, I mean, these guys went to become millionaires playing or making all these other MOBAs. So, but hey, looter shooters, man, look out, Bioware, you're on the market and you're competing with the big boys now. And who knows what's gonna happen to our beloved company anymore.
Anthem's kind of like that kid from Starship Troopers. I'm doing my part. Everyone just laughs.
How about you?
Everyone just laughs at him.
Oh boy. Well, I think that's all we have to share with you guys today. We'll be back next week with another kind of fun industry news. If there's any kind of ideas or videos you guys want us to check out,
or you want to put us torturous through.
Yeah, well, it could be fun, it could be torturous. Leave them in the comments. We'll check them out. I'll definitely check out. What was that? I can't remember that 4X game. What was it called? It's in the comments.
Sword of the Stars.
Yeah, is that? Yeah, Sword of the Stars.
Sword of the Stars 2, I believe it was.
All right, I'll be definitely checking that out. Again, any recommendations for analysis, I'll be happy to do so. Thanks again for everything, guys, and we will see you next week.